Hey everyone, today we are diving deep into the absolutely epic fantasy romance, Whispers of Light and Shadow. We're going to break this huge story down to its very core, the magic, the conflict, and of course, the forbidden love that makes the whole thing tick.
Everything, and I mean everything, kicks off with this one, Cryptic Prophecy. This line is basically the engine for the entire story. It sets up this massive, world-changing destiny, a conflict that's been brewing for ages, and a love that, well, was never, ever supposed to happen. It's the promise of a spark that could either save the world or burn it all down. Alright, so first up, let's get into Act 1, Sparks of Light and Shadow. This is where we get the lay of the land, meet our heroes, and see two forces of nature collide for the very first time. So our story takes place in a world that's pretty much split right down the middle. On one side, you have the Oralis. They wield the power of light. Think order, creation, all that good stuff. And on the other side, the Noctari, masters of shadow. They're all about mystery, secrets, and this raw, untamed energy. For centuries, these two have been in a kind of tense, fragile standoff.
And this is where we meet Lyra. She's one of the Oralis's most promising students, but her magic is, well, it's a wild thing. It's powerful, no doubt, but it kind of does what it wants, reacting to her feelings instead of her commands. So her biggest fight isn't some enemy, it's the crazy amount of power bubbling up inside her.
And then there's Kael. He is the polar opposite of Lyra, a Noctari, an exiled prince, completely comfortable in the very shadows she's been taught her whole life to fear and hate. He's mysterious, he's powerful, and his arrival is about to flip Lyra's entire world upside down.
Their first meeting happens where she trains, a place that's supposed to be secure, and you can just feel the tension crackle in the air. Her line, "You should not be here," that's all about order, about the rules. And his response is just this calm, cool defiance of every single one of those rules. The pull between them is immediate.
And the tension just keeps building. She can sense he's a threat, not just to her people, but to her own control. And his answer? He doesn't even deny it. He confirms it, basically promising her that the world is way more complicated and dangerous than she ever imagined.
So, of course, during this first encounter, they fight. Light against shadow. But instead of canceling each other out like they're supposed to, something totally unexpected happens. Their powers weave together, creating this perfect, dangerous harmony. And that right there is the first real clue that their connection is way, way deeper than just being enemies.
And that brings us right into Act 2, a dangerous alliance. That initial spark has been lit, and now things are about to get real. A bigger threat pushes them into this partnership that could, get them both killed.
Then the story drops a huge bomb on us. It turns out Lyra isn't just a Rayless, she has Noctari blood. This explains everything about her untamed power, that darker magic stirring inside her. She is the prophecy. She is the ember and the shadow, all in one person. This huge revelation changes everything. It forces them into these secret training sessions. Kael is literally the only person in the world who can help her balance her light and shadow magic. But as he's teaching her, that line between mentor and student gets really, really blurry. All that time together, the trust they have to build, the shared danger, it ignites a bond that's just as powerful as it is forbidden. And while they're trying to figure out their powers and their feelings, the world doesn't just stop and wait. The main villains, the Shadow Council, they start ramping up their attacks. First chaos at a big festival, then they expose a traitor inside the Oralis, which shakes Lyra's world to its core. And it all leads to a massive ambush at the Shattered Tower. The pressure is just constantly building. Kael just nails their whole problem with this one line. It's not just about politics or ancient magic, it's about your heart wanting something that society says is impossible. This captures that whole struggle between duty and desire that really defines the relationship. The ambush at the Shattered Tower is their first real test as a team. Fighting back to back, they combine their powers and pull off this incredible victory against impossible odds. But it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, they prove how powerful they are together, but in doing that, they've just painted a giant target on their backs. Their path forward is set, and it is going to be incredibly dangerous. And that brings us to our final act, Embers of the Moon. This is where it all comes together. The emotional threads, the magical threads, all the secrets, the training, the forbidden feelings, it all comes to a head in one final showdown for the fate of their entire world.
Right before the final battle, Lyra finally says it. In this incredibly raw and vulnerable moment, she admits that her love for Kael is just as real as her fear. She's acknowledging that her heart is now a weapon in this fight, just as much as her magic is.
Kael's response? It's not just I love you too. It's a promise. It's a commitment. He wipes away any last bit of doubt and solidifies their bond. They're not just reluctant allies anymore. They are a true, united front.
And this is the big reveal, you guys. The prophecy was never just about two types of magic coming together. It was about two hearts coming together. By finally admitting their love, right there under the silver moon, they fulfill the emotional core of the prophecy. And that unlocks a level of power they could never, ever have reached on their own. Their love becomes their ultimate power source.
You can literally see how this plays out. I mean, on their own, they're strong, no question. But when they combine their power, it isn't just adding one to the other. It's exponential. Their union creates something totally new, a force that is completely and utterly unstoppable.
So, the final battle is intense, but with their new power, it's decisive. They take down the leader of the Shadow Council, they vanquish his whole army, but victory isn't free. The city's citadel is damaged, and Kael gets hurt shielding Lyra, one last perfect show of his devotion. The prophecy is fulfilled, and now a new era can begin.
So what does this new era actually look like? Well, the bad guys are gone. The city can start to heal and rebuild. Lyra finally gets a handle on her dual nature, finding a perfect balance inside herself. And their love, which was once this forbidden secret, becomes the symbol for a new age of unity.
When you boil it all down, their personal love story had world-altering consequences. What started as this dangerous secret, this whisper between two enemies, became the very foundation for a brand new world built on balance and hope. Their relationship didn't just heal them, it healed their entire society.
And that leaves us with one final thing to think about. The prophecy. That was their destiny, right? It set them on their path. But it was their choices, their sacrifices, and ultimately their love that decided how it all ended. So, was their love just the ink filling in a story that was already written? Or was it the powerful editor that came in and rewrote the ending? Something to ponder?